Let's go live. That's not the song. What's up, people? This the song. Off the new album dropping February. Nah, I'm lying. Get it together. It's dropping this Friday. I said February. I meant this Friday. All right. January 28th, this Friday. All right. Welcome to the Hobby. Debut album, all hobby music. And this just came to my mind. I wish I had a song that represented or at least mentioned our next guest. I'm gonna have to make sure. I know I have some written lyrics with our next guest somewhere, but I haven't put it actually into a real song. So definitely the way we admire this group of individuals and human beings, we got to put them on a song. But look, hey, I'm a rip and I'm a rip and I'm a rip till I lose my mind, lose my mind, lose my mind, lose my mind. I wanna rip, wanna rip. Hey, welcome. Welcome to the hobby and welcome to Off the Checklist. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Those of you who are going to tune in live and those of you who are going to catch it when you can catch it. We appreciate y'all. We have an awesome and amazing, humble guest today. Really looking forward to this. Is really my first time meeting this gentleman. We've spoke back and forth via DM and on Instagram and exchange words and things like that. But he finally we made a connection, man, and I'm looking forward to learning from him and introducing people who may not know about this group of amazing individuals and what they do and contribute to the hobby. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Charlie from Cherry Collectables. Charlie, how you doing this evening, brother?
I'm well, mate. Thank you. You're quite right. Yeah, it was just it felt like a really cool connection, and yeah, so pleased to be on Off the Checklist. I think that's a cool name for the podcast too.
Yeah, it's cool, and we could swing it. We get you on the checklist and you off the checklist. So, and then we could always put you on and off the checklist. Like we control the checklist, so it's kind of cool. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it brings value to the checklist. So now people are going to start
yeah,
buying checklists. So that's our way to pump and dump the checklist. So we invested in
yeah,
checklists
yeah, yeah.
before we made this show. But I want to let everybody know. We spoke a little bit before, literally like maybe 4 minutes ago, and Cherry
Mm,
Collectables, why they're special to us, and why I'm thrilled to have you all on. As everybody knows who likes to tune into this show, is we really like to intentionally invite guests and folks who we consider are like normal. Well, everybody in the hobby is normal, but some people seem larger than life because we see them all the time.
mm,
They're always on the screen. They're doing a lot of great things that we hear about, but we just like to highlight those people who are doing great things that we don't hear about all the time, right? And that can come from many different forms of walks of life, different parts of the
mm,
globe, and things like that. So that's why I feel like Cherry is perfect, because I feel like our community is still foreign to Cherry as far as exactly what all the things that they do and how they contribute. And I would love for our community to learn and grow with you all and support it, right? But the reason why us RPS we're fond of Cherry is I believe we started an Instagram account maybe June, July of 2020, right? And
okay.
y'all were one of the first accounts we started following because the content was just awesome and informative and cool, and it just felt fun, as a lot of accounts do, right? But the people behind the account just seemed, excuse me, just really, really genuine. Like really, really, really genuine. It seemed like you all didn't have any ulterior motive. It's easy to use your content, and you should, as a business person, use your content to promote your business and make money, but you all feels like you all do it with morals and a code and a principle, and you don't just use any and everything out there. And that's a trigger for us when we see that, and when we see whether it's an athlete or a group of individuals or people doing amazing things and other pages or businesses taking advantage of that without showing appreciation. That's a trigger for
Mm,
us. You know what I mean? We feel like that's bullying. You know what I mean? And we always want to show
yeah.
appreciation. So we feel like you all do an amazing job of showing appreciation to any and everybody. You all don't like I like to say culture appropriate, where you're just using one piece of culture or race or specific thing to your advantage while you're dissing it, you know what I'm saying, at the same exact
Hmm.
time. You all are very positive and stand on the things that you stand on, and for that, it's a breath of fresh air in the hobby. And when you all started following us like shortly after, and I mean, we didn't have a lot of followers. Y'all were actually like one of the pages who followed us when before we even had 1,000 followers type thing. You know what I mean? We didn't have a lot of followers, and y'all always showed support, like stuff, share stuff every now and then, and that means a lot to us. You know what I mean? Even though it was probably last month when we first had our first real conversation, you know what I mean? Just that engagement just shows us the value that you all put in us. You know what I mean? And also into your community as well too. You know what I mean? So thank you, Charlie. I wanted to make sure I gave the people the same type of introduction and welcoming that I gave you when we first spoke, because I mean, we really look up to you all, and it helps us hold the mirror up to our face when because, you know, we create content and there's always something that comes up like, I can use that as a piece of content and it'll be funny, it'll be triggering, or it'll do something, it'll spark something for the people. But then I think, does it align with what we do? Does it really like, because we can post everything, right? You can turn content into everything. Right. But like you all stick to the Caruso stuff, right? Like, like Caruso. Is that your guy or is that Grayson's guy?
No, that's my guy. I just like, it's so funny to me that a guy who looks like him, not that he looks terrible, but you know, he's super young. He's got no hair. He's clearly bald. He wears the headband, but he knows what his role is wherever he is. He fitted in well with the Lakers. They moved him on, whatever. He's now at the Bulls, and he's coming off the bench, and he's a role player. And I like role players, people who know what they're there to do. They don't have the big ego. And yeah, Caruso is just he's my favorite.
Okay, I get it now. I see. So Cherry's playing a role in the hobby. Y'all role players. Y'all playing a big role, bro. That's a big role.
It can sometimes it feels like it. I suppose it's. Thank you very much for that introduction. That's just amazing to hear that you hear what you get out of what we put out, because that is those things that you've mentioned, the positivity, the support of other people doing good things or interesting things in the hobby. Is the main purpose of the content. It's to promote the positivity, to promote other people like yourself. When I saw, the reason I followed you so quickly is because I thought, wow, these guys are making music about collecting. Like who would have thought to do that? I couldn't do that. And so I thought, that is just so interesting. I have to follow this person just to see what else they do, man, because it's just, and it was kind of it was like a watermark of, okay, this hobby, this collecting thing is getting so much bigger that people are starting to make music about it. Like that in itself is a big deal. So I better follow these people because, you know, who knows what they're going to do next. So that was the main reason. It was just so interesting and so different, and it felt to me like a marker. Like, wow, people are making music about the hobby now, which is just, you know, unheard of even just a year before.
Right. And it came really from the passion of the hobby, and from literally originally why we started collecting. Our father introduced us to it. It was a family thing. It was about moments and memories, right? And the three of us are all family members. We're literally blood family members. You know what I mean? So for us, it was during the pandemic, and the first 20 songs we made remotely from 3 different homes. You know what I mean? And because it was a pandemic, Rip and his wife were having their first child. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it was just a lot going on, but we wanted to make those memories. And like you said, that we heard of it before, and believe me, we never made music before that either. It wasn't like we made music before and said, oh, this didn't work for us, let's start making hobby music. No, we're in a pandemic. We already loved the hobby. You can see all these cards behind me. I didn't just start collecting during the pandemic. Okay. I've been collecting my whole life. Right. So it was a way to give back a whole bunch of a whole bunch of reasons, man. But it's turned into something that we get to share with a whole bunch of people. So it's definitely become more than it originally started just for us three, something that we wanted to share. And if we liked it, then we would do it. But now it's turned into, if a lot of people are liking it, it makes people feel good. We're going to keep on doing it, bro. Oh, did we lose Charlie? We might have lost Charlie. We might have lost Charlie. We're going to get him back. We're going to get him back. Charlie, if you can hear me, buzz right back in, because we gotta keep this show rolling. We just started. We're gonna get Charlie back in and out of here. If you can hear me, Charlie, go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, yeah, he reading it up right now. When he jump back on here, we're gonna get right into the big question. We're gonna start going this off, and we're gonna get into some of Charlie specifically, and not so much. We're gonna lead into Cherry, but I want to know about Charlie, the human being, the man, the person. It sounds like he stands on a lot of morals and principles, as I stated earlier, and their business, his business, and the way they run it is a reflection of that. And I kind of want to dive into that and see where these morals, and his codes and ethics come from, and why he puts value in them so much, and what areas of life, other areas of life, um, does he also place those same values? Is it all the way around? Is it in every aspect, in every corner of life? Or is it specifically in the hobby, and maybe another area for a specific reason? I don't know. I'm curious to know. It's intriguing to me. Um, like I said, this dude is just fire to me, man. Their content is it's just perfect. It's perfect. It's them. They have an identity. They don't go outside of that. And it's just something that I love. Charlie's back. What's up with it, bro? Can you hear me?
Yes, mate, got you. Sorry, can you hear me? I'm sorry about
Yep,
that. My
yep.
internet just dropped out.
All good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. All good. I understand. So, Charlie, now that you're back on, bro, I want to get this show kicked off.
Yep.
I'm gonna ask the same that question that we ask everybody else to open up the show, right? We talked about morals, ethics, you know what I mean? Empathy. We talked about a few things that it sounds like you stand on, firm on, and it's a reflection of your business, of y'all business, right? So y'all could come in. This is also a family show. So if your family or kids happen to run in, it's all good. My daughter just came in and gave me 2 little pieces of cake, so I have to eat that cake as long as I have my coffee to wash it down, because it might be dry.
That's awesome.
but Charlie, I wanted to ask you, it since this it's about trading cards, all right? I want you to think for a second. If you can pick one person or a group of people that you would like to place on a trading card, and the reason why you're placing this person or persons on a trading card is because you wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be the human being you are. Maybe Cherry wouldn't be here today. A lot of the other accomplishments and goals that you set for yourself, that you've been able to meet and that you are going to meet, you wouldn't have those aspirations, and you wouldn't be the person you are today if not for this person or persons. So today, I want you to give them flowers. I want you to highlight them by giving them their own card, whatever card you want, their own one-on-one. And I don't want you to feel bad like you're leaving anybody out, because this isn't going to be the last time we talk. Next time we talk, you can give a whole nother group of people or somebody else your flowers. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure
Yep.
through this conversation that we'll highlight a host of people. But for this purpose, for a trading card, who would you like to highlight and why?
Look, that would be one person came up, and it's a super obvious person, but it would be Grayson, the owner of the business of Cherry. The way that he has, because he started he started with cards, selling cards online 2009. So this is a long time before the Gary V's are talking about cards, a long time before the influx that we started to see in 2019. And he began selling cards 2009 in Australia online. It was a very small hardcore crew of collectors who had managed to hold on to collecting when they started in the 90s. So there wasn't many people interested in cards at the time. There's a lot of sets from back then that are not as sought after as the sets are now. And he started his store in 2015, and he will tell you himself that there are a few occasions where he thought it was time to pack it up. Like,
Right.
this card thing is not happening. People are not interested. This is not growing.
Right.
And I'm sure he had some very quiet days in that first location on the outskirts of Melbourne, where probably nobody came into the shop that day,
Right.
and for him to and I know he went to conventions in the States where he would go, and the whole vibe at the convention would be, this is a hobby that is dying. It's on the way out. So
Right.
there were a lot of occasions I know where he was close to, I'll go and get a real job, in an
Right.
office
Right.
somewhere, we'll sell all the cards and forget it. And it's so fantastic, that he held on through those times. And now you see, now in retrospect, it's like, oh, what a genius he was for having held on. But it was very close to not being around at all. So that would be the person I would put on the card, for that reason of having stuck to it, and really promoting that that feel of welcoming the new people to the community, welcoming new companies to try things, whether it's Panini or it's Topps or it's Fanatics. We're going to see what they do in the coming years, and being more often than not positive, rather than, oh, this is bad, this is
Right.
bad news again, and this is going to be a change. So, Panini taking over back in 2012, oh, this is going to be terrible. Well, turns out they did okay, but
Right. Right.
they might have helped rekindle a lot of interest. Things might have been different had they not been in charge. Fanatics happening. Oh, this is going to be terrible. Well, let's wait and see.
Right.
They're
Right.
big guys. They're smart people. They got a lot of money, so they're gonna put a lot of research into decisions they make. And then they buy Topps, and everybody loves that. So it's more of a sort of that attitude of stay positive, look for the good things, and be welcoming to new people, because that was you once as well. You were a new person also. So don't be a tool.
Really, really though, that's big. I like that. Charlie, shout out Grayson for that. And the reason why I like that story specifically, and I love the way how you told that story specifically, because even if you don't collect cards, you can relate to that story, right? You can relate to being passionate about something, having your heart in something or someone, right? And feeling like, man, you know what? All this time I really love this, but other people don't love it as the dreams and goals and things that I thought were going to happen may not happen. We all have that doubt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we love talking about feelings and emotions on this show. The reason is like I said, we like to bring in all types of people. And one thing that ties us all together is feelings and emotions. Even if you don't collect cards, we could talk about how losing money on a card made us feel, and then somebody who doesn't collect cards will understand how losing money feels. You know what I mean? So now we can talk hobby, whatever your hobby is, we can talk hobby and we can relate now. So that's why that story was so cool to me, bro, is that he was at that breaking point, probably several times.
Yes. Yeah.
And I looked at today. Now that gave me so much more perspective on it. That was something I was going to ask about, a little history into Cherry, that same exact thing. And that's wow. 2009, just selling cards. And then you said 2015, 16, he got a store, and then look at him today.
Yeah, that's right. So it was, Grayson and I grew up basically down the road from each other when we were kids at school. So we're friends for a long time, like 30 years almost of history. So we both collected in the 90s down here in Australia, when that time was it was Michael Jordan. It was the Dream Team in the '92 Olympics. It was
Yep.
Shaq. Shaq was such a worldwide phenomenon, and I don't know what happened in Australia at that time, but it was just everybody wanted to collect Upper Deck basketball cards, Topps basketball cards, whatever basketball cards they could get hold of. That seed was planted for people in my generation, and so we would collect cards. We would buy as much cards as we could get our hands on back then. And for a lot of us after that period, maybe after 95, 96, which is sort of for basketball cards, it's a terrible time to stop collecting because it means you miss out on Kobe Bryant. But that's what I did. I got plenty of Eddie Jones rookies, but no Kobe rookies.
See, I'm lucky. I stopped right after Kobe, so I used to have a bunch of Kobe rookies, but that was when I had stopped. That's when I had put them away.
Yeah, okay. Oh, well, you kept collecting to the right time. I stopped just before, so I got plenty of like LaFonso Ellis and Jim Jackson and those guys, but no Kobe. And then I think, 09, Grayson he started seeing basketball cards, I think at like a local market, like a flea market sort of thing. And he was like, oh man, cards, they were cool. And he and I had always enjoyed collecting stuff, whether it was action figures or statues or, signatures of movie stars, like that sort of stuff. And so he started just buying boxes or buying cases from the States when he could get hold of them, when he had enough money. And he ran the website as sort of a side hustle through 09 through to 2015. And then he took it full time with a store. I told him a store was a bad idea, just keep selling online. And, that would have been a very different sort of scenario. But then, for those years through 15, 16, 17, it was going okay. It was very slowly growing. And then 2019, we started to notice sort of month on month, there'd be new people in the live breaks saying, oh, this is my first time. Maybe there'd be more traffic to the website month after month. And so we were thinking like, oh, this is growing now. Like, this is not like before. And then, you guys know what happened as well throughout 2020 and 21. Things just got even more interesting and more and more. To now, it feels like we're kind of on a plateau. It's not as crazy as the last year, 18 months, which is good because I think everybody who works in it and is in it day to day needed a rest. Like it was quite busy. Yeah. So that sort of brings us up to now. I mean, I started part-time with Grayson, helping him with social media and Google ads and Facebook ads. And then 2019, I came on full-time as, taking care of content, the email marketing, Facebook, Instagram, Google ads, that sort of stuff. So that's my role, is more the content and marketing and community management side of things, which, if he doesn't keep going through those dark days in 2014 or 2015, then I'm not here doing that at all. So, and I love doing it every day. So thanks for him to holding on. Yeah,
man. Yeah, for real. Okay, so I want to take it back a little bit because I didn't know y'all went that far back. But yeah. So talk about that, because we also have surprisingly a lot of my students at my elementary school, middle school, they tune into this show, and for some reason they like hearing the stories and they like hearing the different people and things like that. You know what I mean? So
okay.
Yeah, so I really like to kind of bring our guests back to that. You know what I mean? Because our kids like seeing different faces who they can relate to, and hearing stories of different things that they can relate to, just so they can see, and we're all the same, right? So when you were a kid, Charlie, I like. Can you talk about like how did you first start collecting? Your first experience collecting? What other hobbies did you have? And what kind of feelings and emotions did you get when you were a kid, specifically opening up those packs and experiencing those other hobbies?
The first packs would have been that rookie year upper deck of Shaq. That would have been, so I think it's the 92, 93 upper deck upper deck set. They would have been the first packs, and it was rolled into the whole feeling around the dream team at the time. The 92 Olympics, you got Michael Jordan, you know, who else is on that team? Clyde Drexler. I mean,
You were a
all of those
basketball fan as a
legends.
kid. Did you love basketball as a kid?
No, not
No.
really. It was
Was it
just,
just the
it
dream
was,
team, or was it what was it? What was it that attracted you to the dream team and Shaq? Was it seeing them together? Was it their dominance? Like, what if you weren't like a huge basketball fanatic? Because that's great to me. Like, it wasn't like you were like a diehard basketball fan, but you still loved to collect, and the dream team was attractive to you. Why?
mm, they were just like icons, you know. They were
Right.
like they were. I mean, coming Australia in the 90s is still a pretty insular place. There's no
Mhm.
internet. There's no live streaming of sports. Now everything's very accessible. Um, yeah, I think in my hometown there might have been 2 TV channels at that time. Like we
Wow.
were in the countryside. So seeing a team like that, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, all of those guys, are just being like, these guys are like from another planet, like in how, they just look so fantastic on the court, the way Michael Jordan dunks the basketball, and then to even think that, a guy as large as Shaquille O'Neal could even exist when you're 11 or 10 years old in country Australia. Like, this dude is 7'2", and look at that guy's smile. Like, he just looks amazing. And so there was
Right.
like, whatever you have of this person, of any of these guys in basketball, I was instantly interested in it. Like, whether it was cards,
Okay.
or it was a magazine about them, or it was the shoes. It was just, this is this is so this is so interesting, and so different to anything else that was sort of available locally. I mean, we've got our own game here, Aussie Rules Football, which is very popular, and
Right.
it's still very popular. Is more popular. There's cards related to that as well, which have become very popular as well, more popular, more valuable, on the back of this sports card boom. But nothing like the stuff that was coming for the NBA. So that time of Shaq and Upper Deck and Jordan and Dream Team and that Bulls team, that run of Bulls championships, hooked a lot of collectors, in that era, and it's the reason that basketball is still the number one sport for collectors here in Australia. It's the most popular, and I can't see that ever changing. Football, the NFL is growing here. There's a lot of people like football cards as well, but baseball too grows. But I can't see it ever taking over the interest in the NBA, because of that sort of seed of that 90s era is just
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about collecting autographs and things of other stars and celebrities. Maybe it was is is that kind of like your passion, or is this you collect you're interested in? It doesn't mean just because you collect basketball cards doesn't mean you like basketball. There's a reason why you like that specific, like either moment in time or group of people, right? Is that kind of like your angle or one of them in collecting, or do you have a specific niche at the same time?
I don't really have a specific niche, and I don't really have that many. I don't have that many basketball cards. I've probably got more wrestling cards, more like oddball celebrities. Like I've got a Lou Ferrigno auto because he was the Incredible Hulk, because I think that's cool.
Oh,
You
that's
know,
dope.
I've got some Ric Flair cards. I've got who else is sort of strange? The Bruce Campbell, the guy who stars in all the Evil Dead films. I love him. He's one of my
Ah.
favorites from the cult movies. So I've got a few autos of his. That's more of what mine is, and it comes from and the rest of my collection. The bulk of it would probably be statues, like life-size statues or quarter scale statues
Ooh.
of people from a lot of the cult movies, horror movies or action movies,
Ooh.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, Freddy Krueger, those sorts of movies of that 80s, 90s sort of era. Bit of Star Wars as well, a bit of Superman, Batman.
Yeah.
That I love to collect. That
Yeah.
comes from I've tracked it back to a particular set of figures, and I've got a photo of me. I can't remember where I've put it. There's a photo of me when I must be like 5 or 6. I've got these goofy glasses on because I had a vision problem at the time, and it didn't get fixed by the glasses, unfortunately. So I wore the goofy glasses for a few
They
years for
set you
nothing.
up. They set you up for them glasses.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got like this. I've got this horrendous bowl cut. It's just straight hair straight around here, and it's in the backyard of the place we lived in back then in Hobart, and I've got this Superman superpowers figure. It was this. If you don't know that range, you can go and look back. Kenner, the toy company Kenner made them, who made
Yep.
all the Star Wars figures.
Yeah.
Superpowers was on Saturday mornings,
Yeah.
and that show, I could not miss that show. Like that show was the best thing for for 5, 6, 7-year-old me. And this photo of me, I've got this figure, and you could squeeze his legs, and his arms would punch. And I thought this was like the greatest thing that has ever been created. And you can see it in the
Yes.
photo. There's a photo of me in the backyard. It must be like 1987 or 6. And I've got this
Yes.
figure right next to me, and I'm like, you can see I've got I'm fighting Lex Luthor in my in my
Yeah.
imagination.
We've all been
So
there.
yeah. So that's where it starts with me. Is those that line of action figures. I can't remember how many I got because I think we didn't have. I think we didn't have a lot of money at that stage. It was like I think it might have had Superman and maybe one other. So
Right.
I had to imagine the rest of them.
Use
But that
sticks and stuff.
yeah, that line of figures is where the collecting bug sort of got me. Then later on, there was some stunning figures made for cult movies by McFarlane Toys, who still does stuff now. I think they do a lot of sports stuff now.
You talking
Still
my
some.
language now, Charlie. Toys, you talking my
Oh,
language now.
really?
Oh yeah, yeah. On the other side of this wall, there's 365 new in box Marvel Black Panther toys, different ones. Like
Wow.
yeah. Like you talking
Yeah.
like
Okay.
because you just sparked something. We're all collectors, and if you collect cars, most likely you collect. That's why I asked you several hobbies. And when you said statues, I was like, oh, this is my guy. The statue is a toy to me because that's
Yeah.
the next level. After my toys, I need the life-size statues of Black Panther. I'm gonna, it's a lofty goal, but it's on
Yeah.
my bucket list. Okay, it's something that's gonna make me happy to just stare at. It's okay, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but you said something. You have a picture with a toy. I wonder how many collectors have, if you took all their pictures when they were kids, or do they have pictures with more cards or pictures with toys?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's be an interesting one to look at. That everybody must have, because there was probably so many opportunities to get a picture of me with that figure because I never let it go. Like it would just wherever I went. If we were going to the supermarket, that the figure was coming with me. Like it didn't matter. So those figures, and then McFarlane, the Movie Maniacs line in the late 90s, they started
Yeah.
making figures of the Terminator and Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, those guys. And I was like, wow, there are figures of these
horror guys, and they're licensed as well. Like, it has the likeness of Freddy Krueger. It's got the likeness of the Candyman or whoever it was. It's not just a like a kid's action figure. Sometimes the sculpts can be pretty good. You can say, okay, I can see Arnold maybe in that figure, but a lot of the time that was not there.
Right.
So that line, and then I sort of upgraded from that line later to the 1/6 stuff, which is dominated by Hot Toys now. There'll be a lot of
I got
Toys collectors
too.
out
I got
there.
Hot Toys. I have all the Black Panther Hot Toys. So you speak my language, man. You speak. I love where this conversation is going, because now I get to ask you some questions for like-minded individuals. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, and then from 1/6, I think I got into quarter scale because I accidentally bought a quarter scale figure which I thought was a 1/6, and then the quarter scale figure arrived, and I was like, oh wow, you can get them even bigger. So then I sold all the 1/6 stuff, which I probably should have held on to, and then turned it into a quarter scale collection. And now I think I've got maybe 4 or 5 life-size pieces as well that are busts. So it's like a Vader, Superman, Batman, Terminator, and maybe one other. Okay, they're once you go into one-to-one scale, you look at the rest of your smaller stuff and you're like, I want to get everything. I want to get everything, 1-to-one now.
Yeah.
But the money is a factor.
Oh yeah, that's the part. Yeah, I call it invested. I call it the kids' college fund. And if any time when that point comes and they need money, the toys have to go. You know what I mean? I'm attached to them because they're fun for me right now. But if at any point the money I've spent in them needs to be used on something else, they all gotta go.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So Charlie, that's it. But I'm happy. I want to ask you this. So in Australia, I'm pretty sure. So y'all have your card shows, right? And y'all have card shows out there. Okay, do y'all have like Comic Cons and things like that too, like toy conventions and things?
Yes, we do. Yeah, they're pretty rare that there's much of those, especially the vintage stuff in one space. There are a few great stores around though. There's one in Melbourne, one in Sydney of the vintage guys who will sort of like a card store. Like, you can bring your collection in and they'll buy it from you, and they're always buying and selling on eBay. All of those lines, Masters of the Universe, Superman, Batman, all the GI Joes, all of those great lines. Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason I was asking, bro, because I know out here in the States, for me, in my personal experience, because I've experienced the card shows, and before I was a lot of card shows, I was a Comic Con, Toy Con, any kind of, if there was going to be toys there, I'm going, me and the kids are going, the wife going, we're going every weekend. Like you said, vintage toy stores. I love the hunt. Like, before I buy anything on eBay, I will wait a year. Like, oh no, we're driving 8 hours in a year to go on vacation. Oh yeah, I'll wait, and we'll stop at every toy store to see if I can find this toy before I buy it on eBay. But Comic Cons, bro, while I love both Comic Cons and card shows, right? Because of the people, they're both toy stores, essentially. You know what I mean? They're both huge toy stores. You can both learn, you can buy anything you want from there. But the experience at a Comic Con out here or a Toy Con out here, bro, it's almost like the funnest Halloween engaging experience. It's a party outside, it's a party inside. It's a cult community. So it's loving and it's so welcoming and inclusive. Everybody, grown people dress up. We look forward to Comic Cons to dress up as our favorite superheroes as adults. And for me, I don't know where or how that intersects with the hobby or card shows, but I feel like that aspect of the fun and is missing. There's so much of the culture that's there that can be made into fun and engaging inside and outside. I just feel like I'm saying that like card shows have a lot of room to grow, and I see it happening across the globe. Card shows adding different things and doing things. But bro, Comic Cons out here, oh my gosh. If I ever have to choose toys or cards, I'm choosing toys without, and I'm not thinking twice.
Yeah.
For personal.
Yeah, that you're right. You're right about that. It does feel it's more fun at a Comic-Con or a toy convention like that. I was, I'm lucky enough. We were all lucky enough in 2014 to get over to San Diego Comic-Con, and that was that. I mean, you've probably gone heaps.
It doesn't get any better.
It's,
I've never been. I've been to LA and I've been to some other smaller big ones,
okay.
which is LA to me was crazy, but my cousin went to San Diego and that's like the top.
Yeah, that. You're right. The atmosphere, it's parties outside, it's fun inside. I mean, that convention is so busy, and that convention center is just, it's like as large as an airport. Like, it's out of control how big that hall is. But you're right. It does feel more fun at those Comic-Cons than at a card show. That might be changing though. I think that's how it feels.
Yeah.
Is that before the Marvel movies especially started to blow things up, I'm sure that convention, that San Diego Comic-Con, from year to year was probably relatively quiet. I've got it. Actually, I know the guy who runs the comic book store here used to go in the late 90s, even the early 2000s, and he said it was a very quiet convention until the pop culture and comic book superhero stuff just blew up. And then it's very difficult to get a ticket there. It's almost impossible to get a hotel room to stay in San Diego when that convention is on. And the same moment might be happening to cards, perhaps, where previously it's been very quiet, and dare I say, it skews quite a lot older demographic at card shows.
Right.
Whereas now that's changing. There are more kids coming along, and that's what the hobby needs if it's going to grow and continue to have a future.
Yep, I definitely agree. Even if it doesn't look the same way it looks at the toy cons or comic cons, I definitely see and feel that change of engagement and just more fun. You know what I mean? The conversations are happening. People are trying. So with that, people are going to get better, and people are, you know what I mean? And people are going to add their value where they see fit. So I can't wait, because like I said, the toy cons, that's my thing, Charlie. I love the toy cons. I go there. I'll tell you a story. Last time we went to the LA Comic Con, I think it was right before the pandemic, like 2018 or 19, I believe it was. It was just me, my lady, and then my best friend and his lady. We went down there. We had tickets, we had the room, we had everything. But LA Comic Con wasn't prepared for the growth from the previous year. The previous year, they sold tickets. People bought their tickets online. They came and got their badge. They walked right in. But when we went, even if you had your badge, you're still waiting in a line with 400, 500 people to get in, even after you already have your badge. Like, the way they set it up was horrible. It was so bad. After waiting in line for 2 hours, I'm like a kid, and I'm a spoiled, stubborn kid now that I'm an adult and it's my money. So I get to complain how I want to complain. So I'm complaining in line to my company. You know what I mean? Like, I'm missing the time. I want to get in there. They're there for me because I want to go to the Comic-Con. So my best friend's partner was pregnant at the time. So she, of course, pregnant women and women are just genius in general. So she used the whole pregnancy thing. So I got to use the bathroom and talk to a security guy, and we just got to walk right in past the line with her. So that was, otherwise we would have been in line for about 4 hours, and I would have missed out on a lot of toys, man. Not really. They're always going to be there, but
those that is, going to a convention like that, especially in the States. I mean, you get there are some lines here at some of the Australian conventions, but you don't know what waiting in line is like until you've done it. Yeah, at San Diego Comic-Con or like a big convention like that. Like, you got no idea. People here are like, "Oh man, I had to wait 10 minutes." I'm like, dude, you could try like we slept outside to make sure we got in, for the first panels on the Saturday. So that's where you learn what a line can really be like.
Yeah, they can be crazy. it can be crazy for real. I started collecting Black Panther toys in 2015, 16. The second I saw him on the big screen in Civil War, I was like, oh, that's cool. Because Black Panther, Wolverine, and Gambit were my favorite superheroes as a kid. Those three were
Nice.
like
Yep.
those were my favorite three. But for some reason, when I saw Black Panther, I was like, oh, that's cool. And then when I saw the movie, it didn't make me want to collect his toys. But when I was bringing my kids to the toy store and they were buying toys and I saw Black Panther there, it's like, oh, okay, so when they get something from now on, I'm buying a Black Panther toy that I like. And then fast forward 2 or 3 years when the movie came out, the Black Panther's solo movie, right? It turns out Ryan Coogler, I went to school with Ryan Coogler. Like we went to the same elementary school. His dad was Slabby Sosa's, my younger brother's track and basketball coach growing up. So when he directed the movie, I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer. I already collect the toys, and now there's a connection. I'm going all out. I'm going all out. So yeah, we come from that soil of the San Francisco Bay Area where we come from a very we went to a private school growing up in Oakland, California, called St. Leo's, and it was a private school, and it was fortunate to where it was a small community, but like everybody's parent was your parent. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't act out in front of anybody because it took a village to raise a child. So anybody's parent can scold you, discipline you, or keep you in the straight and narrow. Right. You know what I mean? So we have an admiration for each other when we see each other doing great things, and we always keep in contact with each other and support each other no matter what we're doing. You know what I mean? So I'm very, very fortunate for that community that helped the foundation for really RPS. We all grew up in the same pretty much, you know what I'm saying, gated community, have you will. We were privileged in our own right. I tell people all the time, Charlie, like when I was going to school, I thought every kid went to school with a lunch and a packed lunch with a note that said, I love you from their mom. I thought every kid got to collect cards and shoot pogs. I thought every kid got at least one pair of shoes for the school year. I didn't know just 4 blocks down the road, there were kids that didn't get any of these things. You know what I mean? So I was moved a lot going up at the same time, which is a blessing in many ways. But at the same time, it took me a while to have empathy for a lot and learn a lot later than people who are actually in that. You know what I mean? So I like to say that too, because when it comes to collecting, people talk about the prices now, which are outstanding. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of people come on this show and they talk about how when they were kids, prices were crazy too. Like for me, I remember my dad never bought me 1 pack of Topps Finest cards. They were too expensive. You know what I mean? I know, go Upper Deck, go get your, you know what I mean? You're not getting Topps Finest. So what did I do? The second I was an adult and I got back into collecting, I bought every box I could of Topps Finest, and I haven't ripped them. It's my way of being able to look at a box and say, oh, I couldn't have this when I was a kid, and now I can have it because it was unattainable. And now kids are looking at these stuff like, I can't afford that. It's unattainable. You know what I mean? So I think now the reach is a lot more now, but you know, currency was a lot less then. But some of the same things are still happening. But the reason why I brought that up, bro, is y'all are one of the few sites that I see when a product releases, and y'all can go fact check this. There's receipts. Y'all sell product for the low as it pertains to what y'all get it for. Like you really, like why? You know what I mean? You can easily sell it for more. We know what some of these things go for. Why is it important for you all to offer that to your community?
It's because of that. Well, that's right. We try generally with the first release of a new set, you know, like new season hoops, something like that, to have that initial order. If we're fortunate enough to get some direct from Panini, then we will try and offer it at the best price that we can, so that you know it's people, whether they're in our community or you know wider Australian collector community, can still find a box for that entry level price,
right?
So that later, when the price goes up, it goes up to from 300 to 400 and 400 to 500 and 5 to 6, we can at least tell people when we get that feedback of, oh, I can't get this box now, we can at least tell people, look, make sure you signed up to the website, or you're in our Facebook group, whatever it is, you're watching us live, because when we first list product, we try and keep that price down to tell people. So we've got that evidence, I guess, those receipts to show people that, look, yes, now at this price, a month after release, yes, the price has gone up, but at the beginning we've had it down here. So make sure you're on the ball. And it goes back to, it's a similar thing. It's a similar thing with figure collecting or statue collecting. There's once things hit the aftermarket, whether it's eBay or Facebook groups, if the statue edition size is 500 statues and you didn't get in a pre-order for $500, then you're going to be looking at it for more on the aftermarket. And that's just the nature of things. So,
and sometimes with the figures, that's even on pre-sales. Like if the pre-sale is this month, it could be $34.99, and then once they sell out, the next pre-sale is $99.90. You know what I mean? So I see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's an attempt to still have some of that product, or that initial allocation that we're fortunate to get at the wholesale level, or close to wholesale, because there's import duties and there's shipping and taxes and all of that gets factored in. But later, once that initial run is all out and it's with the distributors or it's with the large stores, we are buying from the same places that everybody else is, and that's on the aftermarket basically. So that gets factored in later on of the aftermarket. Yeah, but initially we really try and have an accessible price.
I like, and just other than price, like you said, and when I said it, I didn't mean to say y'all throw every single box out there for low. When y'all can, make sure when it's an option and you're able to do, y'all make sure y'all do it. But that's not the only thing y'all do to show that y'all value y'all customers. Y'all also show a lot of like packaging videos. You know what I mean? Which may be nothing to some people, but for me, I like seeing that. I like seeing stuff being cared for, or making me feel like it's being cared for. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like to me, that's important. What about customer relations? Like, I don't know, for some reason, when I watch y'all, I'm not seeing y'all. It's always, it feels like y'all are doing something for others. Why is customer service, like, was that something? It feels like y'all have, like, do y'all have rules or something written up or codes written up in the office? Like, do y'all have to check box certain amount of things, or is all this natural for y'all? How y'all, like y'all customer service seems amazing. I don't know. I've never done business with you all. I don't know if people complained. I never checked y'all Yelp or anything like that. But I'm talking my truth and my experience from what I see and what I get from it, right? Like the reason why I'm attracted to you all is like, man, watching. If I'm gonna buy a box and get it for that price, I'm going, damn, look at how they wrap it, look how they make me feel. You know what I mean? And it's always like blanketed with either content or information or something to make the customer feel valued. Why is that important?
We should have that written down somewhere. We don't have it written down anywhere. But I think you're right. That's what we try to put into. Look, and we get our share of 1-star Google reviews. You can go and look them up. It's quite transparent on Google. Sometimes mistakes are made. Sometimes something happens at the post office and cards don't arrive, or they get crunched when they go through processing. So that happens. But we do try to put the collector at the collector's at the center of everything. So whether it's when they've put an order in, or they've gone into a break, or they're buying a single in store, whatever slab it is, that they feel like they're being taken care of during that interaction. And, you know, the content is really, whether it's a packing video or it's a cool card that Blake pulled out live, or, you know, a stupid meme that I thought of while I was on the toilet. It's just
That's where they all
it's
come
all
from.
yeah, some of the best come at that time. It's all around that idea of people having a positive time with the hobby and counteracting, you know, the negativity that is out there, which, you know, sometimes you can find yourself indulging in it. I find myself indulging in it, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes, and I have to stop myself. You know, this is not, it's not a good use of your time. Let's try and keep it positive, keep people, you know, whether we're going to excite them with the moment that a huge card came out, like Blake pulling that Luca 101 yesterday, or a meme
that was
that's going to make them,
crazy.
oh, beautiful card. It's something that's going to make them laugh, or it's something that they can relate to, like, you know, trying to get to the letterbox before your wife gets there because you know that there's something there. Or it's something, you know, like, because of Grayson's experience in the hobby over so many years now, he will have a throwaway thought in store that I'd listen to, and I go, that's a pretty good insight. Like, that should be a tweet. So, you know, turn that into a tweet, and then that sparks a conversation, you know, on Instagram or wherever. So it's all, you know, that making sure that people are having a good time with cards, and, you know, hopefully the association is made with us, and when it comes time for them to select somebody to buy with, they think, I'm going to buy with Cherry because I have a good time when I interact with those guys.
Well, thank you. I've never, I will in the future look towards ways to monetarily support Cherry, but y'all give me that, y'all give me that feeling of feeling valued without me even having to spend money, and to me that's more important. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like you said, with the memes and the comedy, or just the information, the thinking. You know what I mean? Or the triggering, or, you know, the forcing people to think, the thought provoking rather. That for me does wonders, because for me it helps me grow. You know what I mean? And I always tell people, if what we do or what somebody else does, or not me, people always say this, it's not my quote, but if it saves one person, then it does the right thing. And y'all, for surely, on days when I see y'all stuff, it definitely gives me what I need for the moment. And I got a question for you. We're gonna get ready to wrap this up in a minute, Charlie, because I know you got stuff you got to get to. But when because I want to know, because this is something that when we first started making content, hobby content specifically, like, we've been collecting forever, you know what I mean, but we did not know, like, we were ignorant and naive, bro. We didn't know that people posted cards on Instagram. So in 2019, 2020, we literally thought we were going to be like some of the first people to even post a card on Instagram. Right. So then we found out real quick by searching that there was already a card community. So then we were like, ooh, let's start making memes. Nobody does that. And then we found Cherry and the meme and a whole bunch of other people, right, that had already been doing it. When did you first, like, start making that type of content? Do you remember when that was? Because y'all
started
doing a while. It's been
yeah,
a while.
I started doing videos on Facebook in 2015 of, like, this is the top cards that we pulled that week. I would download the live streams and chop out, and I'd do, like, you know, like, hits of the week video. And they didn't, I don't know, I thought it was a great idea, but nobody really watched them. So I kept trying to do that for a while, and then it would have been 2019, and then into 2020, when I really started going all out on trying to produce a lot of content every day, you know, almost daily, to get out, whether it's a meme or a highlight of a card, or some sort of insight or a live stream, those topics around hobby topics was it was in 2019 when we started doing that, and the volume came more from when the pandemic came into play in 2020, and we were worried about how much stock are we going to be able to get, because a lot of the shipping stuff shut down, the card factories shut down for a while as well, so the cards weren't going out as much. So I was really thinking, I'm going to have to get more out of everything, out of the live breaks, out of the streams that we do when we talk about cards, because there's not going to be as many cool pictures of cards to post. Because the thing about a hobby, whether it's a card Instagram account, is that eventually everybody pulls cool cards, and everybody, it's really easy on these things to take a fantastic looking photo. So everybody can have cool pictures of awesome cards. So you've got to do something different if you're going to stand out. You can't just post pictures of cool cards. It's got to be, the extra things that you're putting into the content, whether it's a meme that I do, or it's like your music that you guys put out. It has to be something different. You can't just be cool cards and that's it, unless you've got literally the coolest cards, like someone like Shine, or the guys that are Tyus, or Ken Golden. I mean, he could just do it because he's got all the best cards. But everybody's going to pull, once a product is out for a day, that's the other thing about it too, is that everybody very quickly gets over that set. It's been out for a day. It's like, yeah, seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. So what else are you doing? And what else can you get out of the broadcasts, or what other content can you put out to make yourself different? Is what I learned that we had to start doing, or we were just going to be another account posting pictures of cards.
Yep. No, for real. I think that part of that was the reason why partly we started. We had started originally making memes because we didn't think anybody else was doing it, because we never looked to see, and then we saw that people were doing it, so we continued to do it. It was fun. We tried to make our own angle of it, but we really wanted to make sure we were being different too at the same time, and not just giving cards. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we were still trying to find ourselves. We did a lot of following when we jumped back into the social media aspect or community of the hobby. Before that, we just collected, ripped, invested. Like I've been holding wax for years, thinking that the 2020 was going to happen in 2050. You know what I mean? But it came real faster than it was supposed to come. But we didn't know it existed, bro. So once we figured out and we learned it existed, and every single time we see, wow, man, people are doing memes. Okay, well, not that we want to be the first or want to be for everything. It's like, no, we want to challenge ourselves to add something to the hobby, or you know what I mean, bring something that hasn't done, so other people can do it too and make it greater. Like, you know what I mean, and make it better. That's how we evolve. That's evolution. We're human beings. Exactly. We're an amazing species. We're always going to evolve. Yeah, we love the fact that we've brought music to the hobby, right? But now we really want and need many people to do it, because for the hobby's benefit. Because one day, whether we're still on this earth or not, we want to be able to go into iTunes, or somebody go into iTunes and right under gospel music, see hobby music. You know what I mean? We feel that's how strongly we feel about it. Like really, not to say hobbies are religion, but for some people it is. It's a lane. Like I work with youth, and I got one of my students who wants to make music, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm gonna bring the microphone and the equipment to school, and you do what you got to do in the classroom. We're gonna make some songs, but it has to be positive. And he was like, okay, coach, I rap about the non-positive stuff too. Like I rap about violence and that, but I don't live that life. Like I don't want kids to feel like they have to rap about that. You know what I mean? In order to be cool. You know what I mean? I never rapped in my life, bro. People think that we've all been rapping our whole life. I'm 38. I started rapping at 37. The only words
Wow.
I rhymed before that was cat and hat and bat. I never tried to write anything down and rap. It wasn't my thing. I like to stick to things I'm good at, but when I see a challenge or an opportunity to do something that's never been done, I love to hop on it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And my brothers are the exact, we're all the same exact way. So that's the approach we took with the hobby music. But the content and the memes and everything came because we wanted to challenge ourselves and we wanted to bring people just a different perspective and angle on collecting. We don't see a lot of African American collectors in the open. They're out there, but we don't see them. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we don't see a lot of women. Sometimes we don't see a lot of kids. Sometimes we don't see a lot of people who collect just wrestling cards. There are so many different minority groups. You don't have to put color or race on it in the hobby. There are people who don't feel included for many different reasons. And if we can bring a comedy aspect or a musical aspect, an art form that'll bridge in one person who didn't know anything about the hobby but now can relate to it, bro, we did our job. We did our job. You know what I mean? That's our goal now. So if somebody who didn't care about the hobby now is like, hold on, people are music about hobby, listen. Oh, this sounds good. What you know? That's how Javid really got into this. I don't know if you know, Rip Hamilton is Javid Best. He played in the NFL. He ran in the Olympics, right? So
Oh, wow.
that's
Yep.
yeah, that's our cousin. Like we don't put that out there like that, you know what I'm saying, too much, because we want people to respect us for what we do. You know what I mean? And individually, we're all amazing human beings in our own right, and lives and fathers and husbands and sons, you know what I mean? And that's what we want people to respect us for first, because that's who we are as a family. But first, it was my brother Marcus and I. We started making our favorite movies as kids. We turned them into hobby scenes and skits and things like that, right? Before we started making music. And Javid would call us and say, hey, what are y'all talking about? Like, it's really funny, but what are y'all talking about? And this is during the pandemic. And we're like, bro, we're talking about sports cards, trading cards. And he's like, oh, okay. So he'd start doing research, and then he'll call us back and he'll say, hey, I didn't even know that's what I was signing those stickers for, bro. I had no idea.
Wow.
And we have a nonprofit organization at the same time, and for the last, I don't know, 6-7 years, before the pandemic, when we were frequently going to schools, Javid would bring a binder full of Topps chromes and refractors, autographed and sign them and just give them away to kids. Not, you know what I'm saying? He never understood even as a player, he never understood the value of the cards. The only reason why he signed those contracts so quickly without reading it is because he needed the money. He was a rookie and he needed the money. You know what I mean? Anything that had to do with cards, he was like, how much am I getting? And all I have to do is do what? He didn't care about where it went after that, or, you know what I'm saying, after that. So when he saw our content, he was like, wow. And he literally started reading and studying the hobby and researching it in the same breath that we probably do. Like, he's a big investor. He likes to invest. You know what I'm saying? So he literally a portion of his portfolio and started investing in the hobby and in wax and in slabs. And we thought that was so cool, just based off of the little scenes and skits we were putting out, 30 seconds to minute skits. You know what I mean? And then from there, we told him, hey, if you like that, just wait. We're going to make one song about the hobby. We're going to take a song from the radio and make one song about the hobby. And Javid said, no, you're not. You're going to make, because he actually has a musical background. He actually went to school for it. So he knows how to produce songs and he's the mastermind as far as musically, right? So he said, no, I'm going to make a beat and I'm going to send y'all something. And we said, okay, bro, but we don't do this. We're doing this as a joke. We want this to be a parody. We want people to laugh. We don't really want to make sense. We want to make sense. We want people to know that we actually collect, but we want it to be funny. And Javid really turned it into an art form, to be real. Like, we still are funny at times. We want it to be comical, but we rap about real, card, it's real. If you can decipher what we say, you really have to be a collector, or, you know what I'm saying, to know what we're talking about. We really go to the extent to where the average person, unless they like the sound, they're not going to take time to look up. We're a configuration, and that's confusing. We're a whole bunch of parallels. You know what I mean? So we appreciate y'all for, like you said, for you hearing it and seeing exactly what we see. Slabby and I literally sat here, bro, and we were like, what can we do? We tried breaking, we tried selling, we tried doing all these things everybody else is doing, and it's cool, it's making money, it's fun, but we need to be different. Like I
Yeah.
have a job, not to say that if money comes from this, there's value in what we do, so we'll ask for money. But originally, that's not what we started at. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fortunate to we are fortunate to have something that puts food on the table. You know what I mean? But now it turned into something bigger than just a joke or fun. It's actually an art form, and we want more people to do it. We like literally,
Yeah.
it's gonna add value to the hobby in ways that won't drop. You know what I mean? Because it's just gonna bring in more people and more ears. And it may not be monetary value. It can just be solidarity. It can be knowledge. It can be, you know what I'm saying, the wealth of knowledge. It may not necessarily, I think monetarily too, it's gonna help in certain aspects. You know what I mean? But longevity wise, I just feel like the more people feel like they can create and add in many, man, I tell plumbers that there's a way for them to make money in the hobby. I don't know how, but I'm pretty sure there is. You know what I'm saying? The hobby is
Yeah,
still
exactly.
so
Yeah.
wide open.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it, bro. I'm looking forward to the growth. Thank you. Before we get out of here, Charlie, I want you to let people know where they can find you all specifically. Yeah, I heard you say Facebook. Was unaware of Facebook.
Yes, yeah, you'll find us
Yeah.
everywhere that people are. I guess it's Facebook, Cherry Collectibles. We've got a Facebook group there as well. Instagram, Cherry Collectibles on Twitter and YouTube as well. Yeah, so yeah, follow us all of those spots. You'll get the content, you'll get the memes, you'll get the you know, the ideas from Grayson about things that might be changing in the hobby. And yeah, thank you again so much, mate, for having me on.
Grayson be spot on. Sometimes I be in the car and the phone. I don't have it in my hand, but it's on the little dock, and I'm listening or watching the Grayson, or I'm at home on the toilet listening or watching the Grayson, and I'm like, yeah, I agree. Yes, I was thinking the same thing. I'm not the only crazy one. I mean, not crazy. I'm not the only smart one. I'm crazy but smart. Like like he says those type of thought-provoking things. Like, okay, I'm happy I'm not the only one that thinks to that length of insanity sometimes. You know what I mean? But it's genius at the same time to me. It's genius at the same time to me when I say insanity.
Yeah, that's something that we I guess we do have a unique advantage there, in that sometimes, you know, Grayson will say something that everybody's been thinking, but they didn't want to post. But and he goes and says it, and then when he posts it, I'm like, all right, well, let's roll with it now. We'll make videos out of this. We'll make a blog out of this. And, you know, if some people get upset by it, well, you know, too bad.
Too bad, but really, I'm pretty sure people do, and everybody has their right to get upset by everything. Everything's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But from like I said, my truth, from my experience, it's not what he says, it's how he says it. Because if he said what he said in a different way, I probably wouldn't have that same reaction. I'd probably be like, like I feel you. I was thinking more this way. It's how he says it sometimes for me, and I think that's just. The way he talks triggers me in the best ways. I don't know if it might trigger people in other ways, but that's what fuels me up and motivates me to continue to think like that and know it's okay to be different or to challenge. And sometimes I feel he challenges not to say this is fact, but just open your mind and think, like, is this a possibility? You know what I mean? So yeah, I was happy that you said that he's doing this for a long time, like in the lights of other greats like Gary Vee, because when I hear him talk, I look at him in the same breath. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I look at followers or clout or fame and think that this person is greater than this person for any reason. Like I said, we intentionally bring people on here who have 10 followers because they're equally as great as you and I. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in many different aspects of life and in the hobby at the same time. So shout out to Grayson, giving him his flowers. Charlie, shout out to you. I want to give you your flowers, bro. Thank you. There's you showed me that I can do a lot more reaching out in the hobby. I can do a lot more connecting in the hobby. I appreciate you for connecting with us. You know, I can't say that I reached out to Cherry and was, you know, as much as I wanted to. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not gonna lie. Y'all not in that bucket of people who are big-headed that I wouldn't go to. You know what I'm saying? Or people not big-headed, people I consider at not upper echelon, but I consider y'all, like, I look up to y'all. Not like y'all are above me, we're equal, but I admire y'all. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I learned from y'all in that aspect. You did like for real.
Yeah.
there's also people, there's also others in the hobby who are also doing great things. But like I said, how they say stuff doesn't resonate. How I say stuff sometimes pisses people off. But then I appreciate it
Yeah.
when they come into the DM and they're like, what did you mean? And then I explain it and they're
Mm.
like, oh. And they're like, oh, well, won't. And then I understand where they're coming from and they might humble me at the same time too. So for you, for reaching out and saying just all the time, hey, Pac-Man, I like that. Hey, can't wait to link up with you in Vegas. Hey, won't, just
Yeah.
those short, you know what I'm saying? That shows me, hey, that's what's needed. That's what human react. That's that human inner engagement. I need to do that more. You know what I mean? So thank you for showing me that and modeling that at the same time. Thank you for committing
Oh,
to
my
come on
pleasure.
here, bro. This is not going to be the last time you're on here. We're going to run it back sometime in the future.
Awesome.
Yeah. And man, thank you. I definitely want to get into you more. Before we get out of here, you a family man? Like you a husband? Like what yeah, what's going on
Yes.
with the yeah?
Yeah. We've been. Where have we been? I think we've been married maybe. Oh, well, we've been
Uh-oh.
together since forever, my wife and I.
Okay, I can't release this tape now. I
Since
got to delete the tape because you don't have the exact
since
numbers.
we
Are you going to get
since
yourself
we
in trouble?
since we were 17. We've been together since we were 17. We've got
Oh.
two kids, boy and a girl, Max and Lulu. They're wonderful kids. They're home at the moment on school holidays, but they're back to school next week, so they're very upset about that.
Oh yeah, man. That's what I definitely want to get into a little bit more of as it relates to the
Yeah.
hobby, because I
Okay.
know you wouldn't be able to be the person you are for Cherry or for your home if it wasn't for your amazing and lovely wife, which I know she's all of that and some. And that's something that we like to highlight. And even if we don't take a lot of time to dive into it today, we're definitely going to give her flowers and the women, not because people got to understand, just because my lady doesn't collect, she's just as much in the hobby as RPS because I'm here. And if it wasn't for her,
Okay.
I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do. So I want
Mm.
to, as many times as possible, I want to make sure I give the women, the mothers, the sisters, the aunties, the daughters, all of the women in the hobby and right, that sit beside us in the hobby, their flowers and their respect, for
Mm.
sure. So shout out to you and your family, bro. Many
Thank you,
blessings.
mate.
Hey, shout out if you need anything. Hey, I'm gonna make sure on one of these, probably on the next album, we're dropping our album's dropping on Friday, but we're already almost done with our second album. Y'all got a big shout out coming. A big shout out is
Okay,
coming for
cool.
Cherry. Let me
Oh,
figure out a way to make
yes.
it sound good and all that. But a shout out, I don't know why I haven't gave y'all a public shout out yet. Y'all deserve a public apology for that because y'all definitely deserve it. We give people we admire, you know what I'm saying, shout outs and creatively want to show them how we appreciate them via music, via our art form. It's like draw them a picture of it, you know what I'm saying, by saying your name in a
Mm.
song. It's like you put it on your fridge, listen to it, tell people, you know what I mean? So, bro, it's overdue. Y'all, it's coming. Just know it's on the way, and I'm gonna send it to y'all first before we blast it out there. Oh, Slab
Awesome.
Strong,
Thank
Tim
you.
from Slab Strong said, "What's up?" There's been a lot of people up in here stopping by saying, "What's up?" Tim from Slab Strong said, I need Bryce Cotton gear from Perth. I don't even know what that is. You know what is that? Break it down for what does that mean?
I'm not sure.
Ah,
He's after Bryce Cotton. But Perth is over in Western Australia, so maybe he's a
okay.
collector over there.
Okay, yeah. See, Tim knows about every piece of land on the planet because he's probably stepped foot there and knows somebody there for some odd reason. So that's why that makes sense. I was like, that's foreign to me. So maybe maybe Charlie knows. Hey man, Charlie, thank you for coming off the checklist, brother. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. Yeah, best of luck. You know what I'm saying? In the
Thank you,
hobby
mate.
and in life too, man. Continue to do the things y'all doing. If you already know, I'm a DM away. We answer all the time. Y'all ever need anything, man, tap in.
Definitely.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to get y'all address. We haven't sent any out yet. I'm gonna have to do it at the same time. But anybody we invite on here, we send a piece of RPS merch. You know what I'm saying? So y'all can have
Oh,
that.
nice.
Yeah. So we're gonna make sure we get you a t-shirt or something. If it's not a t-shirt, something. You'll get some socks or something RPS, and you'll get an RPS experience because the whole package. It's an experience when you come with it's an
Oh,
experience.
beautiful.
So you're gonna get
Yeah.
your RPS pack, and then you get to open up all these little goodies on the inside of them. You have a daughter? How old is your daughter?
She is 10.
10. Did she ever play LOL Surprise?
Sorry?
Y'all have? Did she ever play with LOL Surprise dolls?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
That's my daughter's thing, and that's where we got the idea for our packs. To wrap
Okay,
every
yeah,
year, because man, my son has fun opening those LOL things because
yeah,
bro, we ruined Christmas. I have 4 kids, 3 sons and a daughter. We thought we got everybody the same amount of things, but we got our daughter a lot of LOL. And certain LOL things come with like 400 different things. So our
yeah,
boys were looking at us like we spoiled our daughter way too much this year.
yeah. They would have done. Yeah, they have so many little sections with this bit and then this bit and this bit. Yeah.
Yep, I think I threw some away on accident, thinking that there wasn't any more in there before. So, but yeah, man, you got an RPS pack on the way. I'm gonna make sure to get y'all address. And like I said, we haven't sent any out yet. When things slow down for me at work been crazy. When things slow down at work, I'll be able to get to that part. But you definitely have some love in that form and fashion on the way, brother. So thank you, man.
Awesome. Thank you. No, thank you to you, mate. Thanks so much for having me on. It just a really just feel good chat that we've had. I've really appreciated it. Thank you.
Right back at you, brother. See you next time. I'll holler at you in a minute, man.
See you, mate. Bye.
Peace. Hey, that was off the checklist with my guy Charlie from Cherry Collectables. Shout out Charlie. Shout out everybody who stopped in. Shout out everybody who's going to stop in and tune in one time. Either this week or next week, we're gonna have a very, very wonderful human being, a queen on the set, on the show. Love who you collect. We squaring down the dates and times right now. She sent me a DM and I got to respond to that expeditiously. If you watching, if you see this before I respond, I seen it today. It was crazy at work. It was crazy. It was crazy, but I seen it and I'm gonna get back to you ASAP. I always get back to my peoples, to all peoples. Love y'all. Go tell somebody you love them. Go tell somebody, go tell somebody you love, man. Life is way too short. I lost, not me. When I say I lost, somebody not real close to me, but close to me. A few of my students lost their father. He was a single father last week, and it really ripped a hole through the whole community. I could just imagine what it's doing to his 3 children who are now fatherless. And he, like I said, he was a single father, and he did an amazing job raising these kids. I've known these kids for probably a decade now, and anytime anything needed to be communicated to Pops was always there to receive the communication and was always there to reciprocate and to support in any way we needed parental support, and he went above and beyond. It's one of those family members, one of those parents, for those who are educators or those who are parents and got kids in school. Like I had his number, personal number. He would text me his son's matches, his MMA fights and things like that. We would, you know what I'm saying, we would communicate every now and then. So that definitely made me reflect and think back and appreciate what I do have and make me want to give a whole lot more value to those people around me. So I hope that you all can take that. Or other things that you've learned and experienced, and just give some value and some love to those people around you, because we here for a good time, not a long time, as Naka would always say. And nothing's promised, man. So go tell somebody you love them, and more importantly, go make somebody feel loved. We love y'all. We appreciate you. If you need that love, tap into the DM. We'll give it to you for sure. We out this G thing. Peace.